much for having us this evening. Today we'll be talking about Data Privacy Day, which is coming up very soon on January 28th. We'll be happy to also answer any questions at the end of the presentation as well. And I think there's a chat box where you can submit questions. Next slide, Leah. First off, my name is Jennifer Cook. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications at the National Cybersecurity Alliance, or NCSA as we call it. And I'm joined by my colleague, Leah Delancey, who is our Programs and Events Coordinator at NCSA. Next slide. So for those unfamiliar with the National Cybersecurity Alliance, we are the US's leading nonprofit public-private partnership promoting cybersecurity and privacy education and awareness. We create and implement broad-reaching education and awareness efforts with our partners to empower users at home, at work, and at school with the information they need to keep themselves and their organization safe and secure online, and to encourage an overall culture of cybersecurity. In addition to Data Privacy Day, our core efforts include Cybersecurity Awareness Month every October, which is a collaborative effort between government and industry to assure that everyone has the resources they need to stay safer online. We also have program Cyber Secure My Business, which is a national program helping small and medium-sized businesses learn to be safer online, and consists of a series of workshops and educational webinars. And we co-lead Stop Think Connect with the US Department of Homeland Security, which is a global online safety education and awareness campaign, again, to help digital citizens stay safer online. And this program also offers a library of resources, all available for free to download and share. Next slide. So a bit of background, Data Privacy Day began in the United States and Canada in January 2008 as an extension of the Data Protection Day celebration in Europe. Data Protection Day commemorates the January 28th, 1981 signing of Convention 108, which was the first legally binding international treaty dealing with privacy and data protection. So we observe Data Privacy Day annually every January 28th, and it's the signature program in a greater privacy and awareness education effort as year-round NCSA tries to speak to Data Privacy Day issues and topics. Next slide. So the objective of our Data Privacy Day campaign is to educate individuals on how their information is collected, shared, and used by companies and how to protect it, and also to teach businesses, particularly small and medium-sized businesses with fewer resources, on the importance of respecting their customers' privacy and enabling trust. Next slide. So for 2021, NCSA has broken out its messaging into two categories, tips for individuals and tips for businesses and organizations, because they are very different. This year, we want to empower individuals to own your privacy. I know individuals can feel an increasing lack of control over their personal data. However, there are steps that can be taken to learn about the types of data you generate online and how it's collected, shared, and used. We've created some basic privacy tips to help individuals better manage their personal information and make informed decisions about who receives their data. Next slide. So these tips include: personal information is like money, value it, protect it. Personal information such as your purchase history, your IP address have tremendous value to businesses, just like money. Make informed decisions about whether or not to share your data with certain businesses by considering the amount of personal information they're asking for and weighing it against the benefits you may receive in return. Also, keep tabs on your apps. Many apps ask for access to personal information such as your geographic location, contacts list, or photo album before you can use their services. So be thoughtful about who gets that information and wary of apps that require access to information that's not required or relevant for the services they're offering. Delete unused apps on your internet connected devices and keep others secure by performing updates. And lastly, manage your privacy settings. Remember to check the privacy and security settings on web services and apps and set them to your comfort level for information sharing. Each device, application, or browser you use will have different features to limit how and with whom you share information. Next slide. And to help individuals get started, NCSA has compiled direct links to update your privacy settings on popular devices and online services, such as e-commerce platforms, health applications, and web browsers. The link to view this library is on the screen. And if you go onto that page and there's anything we've missed, feel free to send us an email. Our contact information will be at the end of the presentation as well, but our email is info@staysafeonline.org. Next slide. So according to a Pew Research study, 79% of US adults report being concerned about the way their data is being used by companies, which is why for Data Privacy Day, NCSA also is working to encourage organizations to respect privacy. Respecting consumers' privacy is a smart strategy for organizations to inspire trust and enhance reputation and growth. Next slide. So the tips that we'd really like to promote to businesses this year include, if you collect it, protect it. Data breaches can not only lead to great financial loss, but a loss in reputation and customer trust. And following reasonable security measures to keep individuals' personal information safe from unauthorized access is extremely important. Make sure the personal data you collect is processed in a fair manner and only collected for relevant and legitimate purposes. Also, we encourage all kinds of businesses and organizations to consider adopting a privacy framework. Building privacy into your business is a great way to help you manage risk and create a culture of privacy in your organization. We also recommend conducting an assessment of your data collection practices, understand which privacy laws and regulations apply to your business, and educate your employees of their and your organization's obligations to protecting personal information. Also, transparency builds trust. Be open and honest about how you collect, use, and share consumers' personal information. Think about how the consumer may expect their data to be used and design settings to protect their information by default. Communicate clearly and concisely to the public what privacy means to your organization and the steps you take to achieve and maintain privacy. And lastly, maintain oversight of partners and vendors. If someone provides services on your behalf, you are also responsible for how they collect and use your consumers' personal information. Next slide. So if you're interested in getting involved in Data Privacy Day, a great place to start is through our Champions program. The Champions program is a way to officially show your support for data privacy awareness and education during the month of January, and also to align your organization's campaign with NCSA's. Champions represent those dedicated to empowering individuals and encouraging businesses to respect privacy. The link to sign up is on the screen. It's completely free and it's open to both individuals and businesses and organizations of all kinds. Next slide. All champions receive a toolkit of materials to guide and assist you in planning and executing a Data Privacy Day campaign. And there are special materials reserved exclusively for registered champions, which I'll review in a moment. Organizations that register will also have their name listed on NCSA's website, and champions are among the first to receive updates on Data Privacy Day news, events, and materials. Next slide. So looking a bit closer at the resources we provide, this year's toolkit includes a PDF guide to Data Privacy Day, including story ideas and interesting facts and figures, as well as a lot of great ideas for implementing your own activities, including some of the ones that we'll review on this presentation in a moment. Champions also receive template emails to support your to announce your support for Data Privacy Day, whether it's to your employees or community. We have a sample PowerPoint presentation similar to this one, which you can use at any events or trainings. And we include tons of social media graphics and sample social media posts, as well as a special Data Privacy Day logo just for champions. Next slide. And speaking of logos, there's a variety of Data Privacy Day logos and images available to download for free from NCSOA's website. And this goes for all of our resources and materials. You do not need our permission to use these logos or resources. We encourage you to use them in your campaigns, on social media, and on a website, to distribute them to whoever you like. You do not need our permission at all. And now I'll turn it over to Leah to review some great activities and other ways to get involved in the campaign.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you guys so much for having me. So this year more than ever, it'll be critical to join the conversation on social media to communicate the core messages of Data Privacy Day as more people are spending time online. So we want to encourage individuals and organizations to use our official hashtag. If you're going to make a post, hashtag privacy aware, and follow us on Twitter. It's @StaySafeOnline, to be sure that you're getting the most recent information and resources about privacy and security. And also so that you can participate and join into some of those conversations. We'll be having them the whole month of January. You can share our posts, or you can use those sample tweets and LinkedIn and Facebook posts that Jen mentioned that'll come in the Champion Toolkit if you sign up. That way you have the ability to target your specific audiences and followers and share your own resources and tips. Oh, here we go. There are a few ways that you can get involved in Data Privacy Day. So it's really going to be what you make of it. One way to get involved is through a Data Privacy Day themed blog post. NCSA has its own Stay Safe online blog that's free to view and share. And during January, we're going to be focusing heavily on privacy. So you can repost that on any social media platforms or just read them for your own information. You can also write your own blog posts on any of your own websites and then share it on social media. We encourage you to distribute an email to any employees or to customers to spread awareness. This is a great way to show your commitment to data privacy and protecting their information, but also to educate them on basic steps they can take to protect themselves online. Distributing a press release would be a great idea. If you have a particular topic or event that you want to share with your communities, we encourage you to send that out. We've issued a sample press release also in the toolkit that you can use and edit it if you'd like. Issuing a company promotion is something we've seen a lot in the past, maybe opening up free trials throughout January just to highlight Data Privacy Day. This can spread brand awareness and spreads awareness for an important cause. Another really great way to get started is just to talk to your family about Data Privacy Day, have conversations with your kids, spouse, significant others, help them understand some basic ways that they can improve their security, because obviously we're all working from home. So, how can you help them understand how to secure their sensitive information? Another thing you can do is integrate Data Privacy Day branding on your organization's external or internal communications and websites. Take the logo and put it on your website or your social media accounts and demonstrate your support of Data Privacy Day. If you have a community newsletter you're a part of, try to include Data Privacy Day information through that. Share tip sheets, videos, upcoming events with your network. Finally, we encourage you to host Twitter chats. Twitter chats are a great way to share resources and information and to poll your audience on different platforms to get information about their beliefs of how they protect their data. The NCSA has 2 Twitter chats coming up already that we'd love you guys to participate in. On January 21st, we have a Twitter chat called How to Own Your Privacy. During this Twitter chat, we'll feature tips to help you better understand the data you generate online, how it's collected, shared, and used, as well as advice to help you manage personal information and make informed decisions about who receives your data. On January 25th, we have a Twitter chat called Respecting Consumer Privacy. During that Twitter chat, we'll feature tips and advice for creating a culture of privacy in your organization and understanding your role and your employees' role in protecting the privacy of your customers. Both of these Twitter chats will be using hashtag privacy-aware chat, hashtag privacy-aware chat. So now let's get into the specifics about our event on January 28th. Data Privacy Day 2021 will look at privacy through the lens of the many changes we've faced in 2020, and it'll not only provide a survey of current privacy landscapes, but expert insights on where we as individuals and organizations can improve. Our visual Data Privacy Day Our virtual Data Privacy Day event will be held on January 28th at noon to 2 p.m. Eastern. You have to register to attend and there's no cost, it's free. Our featured sessions include privacy and poverty. During this session, experts will share insights into vulnerabilities that low-income people face as a result of the collection and aggregation of big data. Our second session will be privacy considerations for diversity and inclusion initiatives. Panelists will explore the privacy implications of diversity and inclusion initiatives and how companies can protect the privacy of their employees. We have creating a culture of privacy. In this session, we'll take a holistic look at privacy and discuss how to build a culture of privacy into your organization. And we will also have how COVID-19 changed data privacy. During that session, panelists will discuss how the privacy landscape has shifted during COVID-19 and what this might mean for the future of privacy. Some of our amazing speakers include NCSA's Executive Director, Calvin Coleman. We'll also hear from ITSP Magazine, LinkedIn, the World Bank, Discernible Incorporated, Yubico OneTrust, University of Baltimore School of Law, and the Data and Society Research Institute in New York. So definitely come check it out. Here are some NCSA resources to kind of guide you through any data privacy celebrations. NCSA has an amazing website. We have a page dedicated to Data Privacy Day to answer any of your questions about our event. On that page, you'll find the link to sign up to become a champion, detailed information about the schedule and the speakers, and more tips to manage your privacy online. Also on our website, you will find a COVID-19 security resource library. This has free and updated information from NCSA and its partners that addresses security and privacy concerns surrounding the global COVID-19 outbreak. This library will cover topics such as staying cyber secure while you telework and avoiding COVID-19 cyber threats and scams, very important. NCSA has teamed up with Adobe and Speeches Incorporated to create a great series of security awareness videos. The link's the last one. All 8 episodes are already released and the topics include data handling, internet downloads, and more. These are super informative. They're also really entertaining. So they make a great resource to share with coworkers or family leading up to Data Privacy Day. I just want to share a few more resources with you all. NCSA works closely with CISA, as Jen mentioned. They released a Cyber Essentials Toolkit designed to break down the CISA Cyber Essentials into bite-sized actions for full implementation of each Cyber Essential. Chapter 5 of that toolkit is called Your Data, so that would be a great one to check out now. The Federal Trade Commission website offers consumers some tips to effectively keep their data and identity safe. They also have privacy tips on their website for businesses to follow. The Identity Theft Resource Center has a handy library that answers a lot of questions you might have about protecting your identity. It includes identity hygiene tips as well as data breach support. To support organizations in better protecting privacy and to help bring privacy risk into parity with other risks such as cybersecurity and safety that organizations manage in their risk portfolios, the National Institute of Standards and Technology develops privacy guidance tools and international standards for businesses. Finally, that last one, MediaPro is one of NCSA's fantastic board member companies. They released a week's worth of free resources in honor of Data Privacy Day. That kit is going to give you web-based training modules, infographics, video conference backgrounds, and more. So definitely check it out at that link in the PowerPoint. You can also find that kit in NCSA's library. Lastly, please keep in touch with us. Our website is staysafeonline.org. We also have a monthly newsletter that we'd love for you guys to be a part of. We keep subscribers up to date on cybersecurity information and resources. We're super active on social media. Follow us for latest resources and cybersecurity news. Thank you so much for having us. And we really look forward to seeing you all virtually on January 28th. Our email also is the last one up here, info@staysafeonline.org. So if you have any questions, you can email us there, or we can jump into the Q&A session now.
Yeah, we're happy to answer any questions.
Okay, if someone wants to ask a question, then hold the space bar to unmute themselves and ask a question.
Could you unshare your screen? I have a question I would like to ask. There are so many ways that information gets shared these days, and I'm involved in genealogy. So, I mean, I guess I've done the ultimate thing in sending my DNA to a company. Is it safe there?
Well, I can't speak to the specific companies. I do know that they offer options through their settings. A lot of the companies offer options to control the amount of data you give them. I know they also have options if you decide you no longer want them to hold your data, they can destroy it or delete any information they have on you. So I would encourage you, for any services you use, to go into their websites, check the privacy and security settings, and kind of see what options are available to you.
I have a comment. If you have your DNA done, please remember that you need to go into the account and decide what you're going to do with your DNA if you are no longer with us. Are you going to have them destroy it, or do you want to make one of your family members or your executor have availability to it?
Yes, I've already asked them to destroy mine so they don't have it anymore, but the data is still there. And I ran into that problem when my mother died with her account. So I'm aware of that.
Yeah, unfortunately, typically once an organization has your data, it is very hard to have them get rid of it. There are new laws going into place, like GDPR in the EU and CCPA in California. Just if you're within those areas, you can request that organizations delete your data. Hopefully something like that will become more widespread throughout the world. But I think as individuals, it's just a matter of paying attention to the platforms we use and the websites we visit to decide who should receive our data. And sometimes it's a personal choice if you want to give your data as well. It's not always, you know, a bad idea. It's when you give your data, you expect to receive a certain benefit, a certain service or product. So sometimes that trade-off is definitely worth it. It's just up to you to make that personal decision.
Some of these social media sites, when you send them information or put out information there, it really gets spread all around to other places, and they couldn't get it back if they wanted to.
Right. Yeah, that's why it's just so important to remember that when posting on social media, or when even your friends or family post on social media, if they're posting about you, that's something that people need to consider more.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, on a point of irony, would it be too ironic to do a Facebook posting about online privacy?
I think that's a great place to do a post about online privacy.
Do you know if Tim Hortons has changed their app, that they're not tracking where you're shopping and tracking you? Because I got rid of their app because I heard it was just unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I know for a lot of apps, you can definitely, some of them do have it in their settings where you can turn off tracking. I think also on your phones as well. It might depend on the phone, but some of them do help you turn off location tracking for certain apps. But yeah, I mean, for me personally, if an app requires certain information that I don't think they need, I get rid of the app and I try to find a better one.
Kathy Montgomery has her hand raised. Unmute yourself, please.
Kathy,
Yes, Mike Roach here. I have a question.
Well, Kathy's.
Sorry, I'll let you go,
Yeah.
Hugh. Go ahead, Hugh.
Sorry.
Kathy wants to speak first. You're unmuted. Go ahead.
I just wonder, I always Google myself and my loved ones, and I can't stand how your address comes up, your birthday, your sometimes even mapped to your home. And I do what I can to try to get it taken off. Is there any suggestions that can be done for that? Apparently it's public information on mortgages and perhaps driver's licenses. And you know?
Right. Yeah, it's a very hard situation. There is a lot of work being done by organizations like NCSA and other companies to try to protect that information. I would say just to kind of keep doing what you're doing, make sure that on any social media profiles that you remove that information, or at least set your social media profiles to private, so somebody can't go in and see all of that if they're not your friend. But yeah, unfortunately, there are just some sites that collect that information.
They used to be all in the telephone book and we didn't worry about it then.
Could I add something?
Go ahead.
Okay. All right, ready to go. I guess there used to be a site where you could take the user agreement text and throw it into this site, and they would try to find the catch-22s in that document. They're so complicated.
Yeah, you know, I haven't heard of that site. I mean, it's hard to ask anybody to read through all the privacy policies they encounter before using a website. It's a great practice to get into and a great habit to form if you can and if you have the time. But yeah, there's tons of great resources out there also to help you kind of decipher a privacy policy, you know, what you should be looking for as well. We can try to find the names are slipping my mind, but we could try to find those as well and send those along.
Well, I've been in the habit, even with Facebook, when I made up my original account, just to lie about my birth date.
Yeah, you know, that's true. It's something that people don't always think to do, but you don't have to give correct information on the internet, like especially if you're setting up an account and it asks you for your mother's maiden name. That's something that's really common and is easily accessed by hackers looking to steal your information. But you don't have to give the right answer. You can make it up. You can give something else that no hacker would be able to find on the internet.
The problem is remembering or having it all written down somewhere. Like
that's true. I do recommend either using a password manager. Those are typically very secure. It's great because you don't have to remember your passwords and change them all the time. And also just a tried and true notebook as well.
And you can put that type of information in the notes section on your password manager program under that account.
Yeah.
My password manager is a 3-ring binder.
That'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
These days, I found that Google Map with my IP address is pinpointing me into different location in Canada. Like recently, I found out that I was in London, Ontario, and some other when you try to go on Facebook or some other place, they want to have your location monitored.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand why an IP address would divert your location in a geographical way.
It's probably where your server is.
Yeah, or if you use like a VPN, those will kind of show you coming from a different geographic location.
Well, I get a monthly report from Google about where I've been, the map, which has little red dots, and even tells you the IP address that you were attached to. Are you still hearing me okay?
Yes, we are.
Yep.
Oh, good, because my yellow box went away there for a moment. And I noticed that I was in Detroit, according to Google, but I understand that there's a place in Detroit where all of the internet traffic is siphoned off by the US government. And then another place that I have been apparently is in Vancouver, because that's where the servers are for Princess Auto, if you know what that is. Well, Canadians know what that is. I don't know about Americans.
No.
It's a small, like a Harbor Freight type of company.
Yeah, well, for Google, I mean, there are definitely settings. I know I've been in there personally trying to just figure out how much I'm comfortable sharing with Google. I mean, there are a lot of resources that use your location, like Google Maps, which is very useful, but there are different, tons of different settings that you can go in there into and configure.
Mm-hmm.
What about DuckDuckGo, which says it doesn't collect information?
I've heard of DuckDuckGo. I definitely know people who use it. I can't vouch for it specifically, but I do know it's very popular, and I've heard good things.
Dorothy, ask your question, please.
Hi, Judy. Long time no see.
I know.
I'm Dorothy from Victoria, BC. I'm not sure where everyone's from. Is it in Canada or the States?
It's just outside of Toronto. It's Oshawa.
Oh, okay. I was just going to mention Judy did a fabulous presentation to our computer club last week on digital legacy estate planning. And with it, she's got some fabulous checklists for getting everything organized for all your accounts and everything you do online, just so that you have it, but also so your family has it and it's put in a safe place. We're going to be going to my father-in-law's on Saturday to get everything organized for him because he's 88, 89. And, you know, he's got sticky notes everywhere, pieces of paper, notebooks, you name it. And we'll get it all typed out and go through Judy's checklist. So if you ever have the opportunity for Judy to give it to you, go for it.
And over to Neil.
Leah, can I get you to put the links that were on those last couple of pages into the chat or somewhere?
Sure. I also sent along the PowerPoint, so you guys should have access to that, but I will.
Where did you send it to?
She sent it to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think he's going to post them, but if it's easier. Okay, that's good.
As long as we can get them. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Are there any other questions?
Well, sometimes I've.
Neil, will you unmute?
Yeah, I've got one.
Go ahead, Neil.
Okay. Loads of people have been worried about the computers left unlocked in the government building last Wednesday. But beginning of December, there was about a company called SolarWinds that got hacked.
Oh my.
Their download was replaced by a Trojan, and thousands of Fortune 500 and government sites downloaded the hack by accident. Have you ever heard any more of that?
Yeah, so yeah, we've heard of that. NCSA has been talking about that a lot recently, and has, I think, it's an unfortunate situation, but it is one of the things we talk about at Data Privacy Day for businesses is maintaining oversight of third-party vendors. I think in this situation, there were a lot of organizations, both industry and government, that use SolarWinds. And so when SolarWinds was attacked, all of those organizations became vulnerable. So in our messaging, we do try to highlight just the importance of checking your vendors, making sure that their data privacy practices and cybersecurity practices are up to code to avoid another SolarWinds incident.
Well, no one knew because until, was it Starfish or FireEye got probed and they realized what was going on. So no one knew for months.
I think it was I don't know the details of it. I think it was a particularly tricky breach. I think it was very, very advanced.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you don't hear any chatter about SolarWinds and what kind of security they have on their servers, that it got to them in the first place and then was passed on to everybody else. It's always, we're talking about the government and companies and all that good kind of stuff, but I'd like to know why they are so poor with their security and got it in the first place.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think data breaches and hacks like these, they're inevitable. They're gonna really happen to every large organization, and they do happen all the time. I think it's just a matter of these organizations minimizing their risk, trying to just minimize the damage that happens to their customers. So in this instance, yeah, I don't know what their protocols were, but I'm sure a lot of the Fortune 500 companies and government organizations that use them will kind of think about how they give information to their vendors.
Does anyone know in this group if the Google Street View vehicles, when they go by, are still collecting both the SSID and I think that's what you call it, and the IP addresses of any broadcasting wireless systems?
I'm actually not sure.
Go ahead, Dorothy.
If they were, that would be an interesting war map to be looking at.
Well, they were doing it for sure, and they got caught. But I'm wondering how Google is doing these maps now, and they know every place I've been that has a wireless system, whether I've hooked up to it or not. They know if I've been to the garage where I get the car fixed. They know if I've been to the hospital or, you know, to a store, a grocery store.
I always figured it was because they tracked it through their phone.
That's what I would think, yeah.
Dan has his GPS turned off on it.
You don't, even with it off, it still knows roughly where you are. I have a question though. So January 28th is Data Privacy Day. So what should we do to participate on that day?
A few great ways to participate would be to use our hashtag #PrivacyAware. You can also sign up for the event. It's free to sign up. Just go to our website and you'll find it under Get Involved and attend an event. It's January 28th, noon through 2 p.m. Eastern.
And also, we just encourage everybody on Data Privacy Day to talk to anyone you can, talk to employees, to family members, to your community about data privacy practices. We have a ton of resources on our website as well, a ton of tip sheets that are free to download on different topics. So we encourage you to use those, to share them with friends or family, even just to mention in an email or a newsletter, like, hey, here's an interesting Data Privacy Day article, or making sure that people are just being reminded of how they share their data online.
Well, I just wanted to say to Jennifer and Leah, thank you for your presentation. I actually heard it when I'm part of Soft Reactor. So I think you were in the part of its meetup, but it's part of Microsoft, and that's why I kind of asked if you were interested to present, because I found it was interesting. So I wanted the computer club and Judy's club to be able to hear about that event.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. It was really fun to present to you guys, so thank you so much.
Is there a Canadian counterpart or someone that you coordinate with in Canada?
Not specifically. I'm trying to think if there's a particular organization. I mean, we do try to create our campaign to be international. We definitely have a lot of groups and individuals and organizations from Canada and from around the world participating. So it really is an international campaign.
I actually found your event on a government, the federal Canada government.
Okay.
Oh.
And they had your name and the event posted.
Oh, great. Yeah, I know we've worked with the the government on also some of our other campaigns like Cybersecurity Awareness Month as well.
I have a question, if you don't mind. How is your organization funded? Do you charge membership fees, or do you get government grants or corporate grants, or what?
Yeah, it's a combination. So we don't have we don't have an individual membership program, but we do work a lot. Both we're a public-private organization, so both with industry partners and the government as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, question here, Mike Roach. I was wondering about you're in the United States, we're in Canada. Now, how about this idea of what happens in the United States, laws in the United States, how can they help us in Canada? They can't apply across the border into Canada. Do we have to rely on our own government to deal with international companies like Twitter and Facebook and Google? Or
yeah, so for data privacy day laws, it's very new and it's very tricky. I mean, even in the United States, it's really just the state of California that has its own privacy laws. So the residents of California are protected under certain laws that other US residents are not. So unfortunately, I think I do think when it comes to data privacy day regulations, everything for you would be done through the Canadian government. So I think if Twitter would, something like Twitter or Facebook would operate one way in Canada and a different way in, say, the EU or California or a place with regulations. It's a very tricky situation right now because there's such a patchwork of regulations going on. But I'd say typically everything is done by nation and not internationally.
Aren't the servers though all over the world? Data is in the Ukraine somewhere, and that's where they put their server, even though it's a German company or something like that. Then how are you going to get any satisfaction?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure. I do think that I do believe actually a few years ago we had a privacy official from the Canadian government speak at one of our events, and I do think the focus is just very much on what is happening within the country of Canada. There hasn't been really an international approach to privacy yet.
I had a question. I don't know if it's cybersecurity related, but is credit card fraud something that is dealt with? I had a very strange thing happen to me. A credit card I don't use, but I had used it twice in November, and when I went to check to see what the bill was or if I owed a bill, there was about $1,200 worth of charges that weren't me in Mississauga, London, and Toronto. And so when I phoned the credit card company, MBNA, Alaska Airlines, yeah, it was all fraud. And I said, well, how could it be fraud if I have the card in my hand? And she said, well, it was all purchased online. So when I buy things online, you usually have to put the expiry date and the number on the back, the CVV. And they never phoned me. And Equifax, who I have for 5 years, never phoned. So I was curious to know why that happened. And then last weekend, my Microsoft account I got an email from Microsoft, and it was real, saying there's activity in Toronto. Is this you? And I said, of course it's not. So that started, I had to change a whole bunch of things. So just curious.
Yeah, I mean, credit card fraud is definitely a cybersecurity concern. It's a very common one. I mean, I think we recommend to people to do exactly what you did, contact the credit card company, dispute the charge. That you are usually, able to handle it from there. They come up, this happens so often. It is concerning that they didn't kind of notice it and contact you about it.
It is, because it isn't any stores that I've ever shopped at, and
Right.
it's in another province. And one, like twice I've been phoned years ago, and they said I was purchasing baby stuff in London, Ontario. Well, I live in BC. So I should have been phoned because they were quite a few days apart, and these were like $400 and $500 transactions at Eddie Bauer and Columbia, and you know, all these clothing stores. And yeah, it's very
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's really tough. I do think there are different credit card companies and banks as well that will tell you, that will kind of send you a notification if there is a purchase larger than a certain amount. So,
no, but I was curious, is it me or is it the company that are at risk?
so at risk,
Well, I'm curious to know where they got the credit card information from.
you know, it's hard to know. I mean, it could also be a completely different site that maybe got breached. Maybe it was somewhere you shopped at long ago that had your credit card information and there was a breach. Yeah, unfortunately, it's just very common. It can be very hard to track. Some things that we advise to hopefully avoid that situation in the future is to not save credit card information to websites, to shops. Also, just if you do get a notification like that, or say like you got an email from Microsoft saying there was activity in another place, always change your password immediately as well. And also setting up multi-factor authentication for your accounts, especially email and bank accounts is very important.
Thank you.
And now, does wrapping your cards in tinfoil, not literally, but there are these containers to protect your cards from near field communication, I think it's called. I wonder if they work.
Yeah, the RFID wallets, yes. I think they're called. Yeah, I've heard of those. I'm not sure of the success rate, but I do know they're very popular.
Can you use prepaid credit cards online?
In general, or in terms of like the safety of them?
Well, I'm thinking that if you buy a $500 prepaid credit card, then you can't lose more than $500 because that's all that's on it, right? But I've never tried to use it to buy something online. I wonder if they let you do that.
Yeah, yeah, I don't see why not.
Apparently, some of the banks will allow your client card to act as if it was a Visa card or a MasterCard. And it'll act just the same as a debit, but to the supplier, it looks like a regular credit card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing with credit cards is that there are a lot of protections. You know, if you call your credit card company and dispute a charge, like there really shouldn't be a problem. I mean, another important thing is we tell people to avoid using your debit card when possible. Just if something happens, money is stolen, it's coming directly from your bank account and it's harder to get that back. It is possible to get it back, but it's just much easier to handle with a credit card.
Well, thank you guys so much for having us.
Thank you very much.
This was outstanding. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It was such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
And if nothing else, it's absolutely fantastic to have young presenters, okay?
That's good to hear.
And those that are so knowledgeable too. That's really neat.
Thank you, Judy. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Hope you guys have a good rest of your meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Okay, I have a question for everybody. I don't know how many groups are represented here, but I would hope that each and every group has a privacy statement on their website. And at a minimum, it says we don't sell or do anything like that with your data. The emails that the advisors send out from APCUG have a disclaimer down at the bottom that says we don't you know, we're not sponsored by anybody. We don't give recommendations, and we do not share or sell emails, because a lot of us with our websites, we do collect email addresses. We have a form they fill out or something like that. And it's critical that you have that, and you have it on either every page. My group has it on every page. My group was put together by an attorney when I worked in the legal department 1,000 years ago. And I cobbled the one up that is on the bottom of the APCUG emails. And, you know, it's really important that you have that on there for everybody to know exactly what is going on.
So if we like it, can we use it?
Oh, absolutely. Hey, I always say I'm a mom, a Grammy, and a tech teacher to seniors. I love to share stuff.
There you go.
And many times we say, use one credit card with a small limit on the internet. Don't use something that you use all the time. And my youngest daughter has had her credit card information stolen twice at different gas stations in the Santa Clarita Valley. I'm 35 miles northwest of Los Angeles. And we both belong to the same credit union, and they call her. They've called her both times because they have cart skimmers. So, you know, the traditional thing is when you go buy gasoline, you pull on where you put your credit card in, because the bad guys put a device over that, and they may or may not have a camera over here where they're watching you put your passcode in or whatever. And Premier got in touch with her immediately because her card was almost immediately used in Orange County. And twice as they were going up the freeway in Orange County. And the kid has had it happen twice up here, which is interesting, at gas stations both times. So you just have to be really careful about stuff like that and be aware. And if you go up to a gas pump and you pull on it, nobody's going to think you're weird.
Well, what do they look like?
They're a device that the bad guys put over where you put your credit card in on a gas pump.
Oh, okay.
And so before you put it in, you just go and see if it pulls off in your hand. What they're doing now is like Costco and places like that. They'll put a piece of tape on it to show you that it's secure. And I really appreciate that. It's just an extra added step by, you know.
So if you pull on it, it comes off then, I gather?
Well, if somebody has a skimmer on it, yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
But if it's got that piece of tape on there and the tape's not broken, you're good to go.
Yeah. Some of the ATMs had those applied to them to steal.
Wow.
And Bill James' group, I think he might be on the next screen. They had one of the gals from their deputy sheriff's office in Oklahoma. And she gave this really interesting presentation. And she said, when you are, you know, you're at the grocery store or whatever, and you put your credit card in or whatever, and you put your secret code in. And she said, make sure that you wipe your fingers or something across the numbers, because they're the rubbery ones, and it retains the heat.
Wow.
From your fingers. And there are phones that can take a picture and they can see the heat. And you go, come on, you know, what else is out there, for Pete's sake? And if you go to your bank, you'll notice they're metal.
Yeah.
Metal doesn't retain your heat. I do that. I have, my door is an August home automation lock. Every time I come in, I go like this because it's a soft thing. And I thought, I don't want somebody walking down the street going, oh, now I know how to get to Judy's house.
Yeah.
I find cash is pretty secure.
Judy, what's to stop the bad guys from buying tape?
Say again?
What's to stop the bad guys from buying tape and putting it over their device?
That's true. Well, you know, these bad actors don't have anything to do. This is why they make their money. They steal. If you put everything in CC or 2, you're letting the bad guys steal everybody's email address. And that's what you get when you get something and you think, I didn't subscribe to that. And you unsubscribe and they go, whoopee, I get more money for an email address that I know is actually live.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, so you have to click on your spam button instead of unsubscribing to stuff that you don't want.
Yep.
I mean, and I would tell my students, I'm on all the bathroom walls out on the internet. We did not know back in the day that we shouldn't share all this information out there, and we freely did it. It's too late for me now, but you know, but and I thought, what a dummy not to have thought to have put some strange name other than my mother's maiden name. You know, hello, we're all so honest. Oh, you want my mother's maiden name? Oh, here it is for this account. And that's the number one thing for ID theft.
Wow.
If you're a genealogist, it's too late. Everybody knows.
Right.
Well, Judy, here in Canada, we have the Canada Revenue Agency, and when they had hacked and breached, my account got compromised, and when it got back in available, I checked to make sure that everything wasn't changed or lost, and my password is not the same as my bank account, so the hackers couldn't get access to my bank account because I have a way of merging two words or having some funny characters in my password. So it's hard for somebody else to know what it is unless they have a supercomputer.
I'm just going to pretend like this is my meeting. Do you guys have any more questions of anybody, any information to share on security that you know? And I do have to say, California, you know, we walked to our own music. We have the most stringent security for us in the United States. And when it went into effect last year, we go to a website, and of course they know I'm from California, and it pops up and I have all these options. Don't share my information, don't sell it, don't do this, don't do that. And we ask, why can't the government do that for all of the states? So we would all be much more secure that way.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
Exactly.
I know you guys have Social Security insurance numbers.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we have Social Security, and then we have the IRS. And I always tell everybody to create a Social Security account and an IRS account. And I don't really care if they ever go into it again, but it prevents somebody from getting your information and creating their own account under your name. And I gave a presentation to a group locally, and this guy raised his hand and he says, you know, somebody opened an IRS account in my name when I had a question why I didn't get my money, you know, that I should have gotten. It's taken him over a year to get it reconciled. He says, I keep telling him I'm who I am, you know? And so if you guys have something like that in Canada, create an account, and you know, before the bad guys do.
Yeah.
Did
It's the same as a mortgage, Judy. If you haven't got a mortgage on your home, then get a line of credit. They're saying you have to have some kind of thing against your house that nobody can open an account and put a mortgage on your home.
And you guys have the two credit bureaus. You have Dorothy, what did I put in the presentation?
Equifax and TransUnion.
Right. And you get your credit reports 3 times a year for free.
Yeah.
You definitely should set it up on your calendar to just check, just to make sure somebody hasn't opened an account. On one of mine, it says, I used to live in Florida. Hello, I've never lived in any place but California. Try to convince them that I never lived in Florida.
No.
I just wanted to mention with the CRA My Account that people should make so they can go in and see their income tax each year, but you need to sign into it once a year. Otherwise, you have to go through a whole process of getting a new code from Service Canada before you can sign in there again. So it's advisable to sign in there once, twice, 3 times a year. Yeah.
Well, you know, the Bank of Montreal made an account for me. I didn't ask for one and I didn't create one, but it's where I can go now and contribute what is owing.
You just told me I have a premium membership. I wonder how I got that, because they don't have any credit card information for me. So either somebody else is paying for it,
Wow.
or it was a bogus email.
Either that or dumb crooks.
You keep
Judy,
mentioning Equifax.
Judy, in Canada, our Revenue Canada has been hacked a few times. And also we have, and I'm being pressured now, and I'm sure everybody else is, you pay a visit to the hospital, they want all your data so that you supposedly will be able to access it. But these people do get hacked as well. So the more information you're giving out to all these organizations, it's not us that may be sloppy. It's the organization collecting the stuff that we're giving out. And that's where the danger is. I have had clients who had their identity stolen, and they don't, you know, it's not just hackers, but you have bad players. Let's say at the bank, we have to give our social security numbers, which we call SIN numbers, to the banks, because if they pay you interest, they have to issue you an income slip for income tax purposes. They also need your date of birth because they handle various plans. We have retirement plans through the banks. So they've got all that information for you. And if you've got a bad employee, one bad employee at the bank, they can access your information and it's game over.
In the US, the banks share information if that happens. And they don't do it through the, I'm going to call it a government organization, but they have somebody created an app that they can all, you know, use, and they can report that. So if somebody has opened an account at the XYZ bank, the ABC bank can find out about it too. And when that person comes there, they can flag it and say, hey, you know, this guy's doing ID theft and opening up these accounts. And so I think that's way cool. I don't know if you guys have something like that in Canada, but I think that's advantageous for us. I encourage everybody to go to the Stay Safe Online website that these gals did today. There are tons of handouts for your groups. I took their presentation, they had it online, not the presentation, but information. And I sent it out to the presidents of all of APCUG's groups on what they could do with their, send an email out to their members on week 1 with do this, week 2, do this, week 3, do this, week 4, do that. And some of the groups are doing that, but check out, they have tons of very nifty tip sheets. And that's the way you can get information out to your members, is you can put a link to that and say, hey, you know, this is the blah, blah, blah week. And, you know, here's a tip sheet. And they're PDFs, but it's a really nice organization. I have liked the National Cybersecurity Awareness folks that they're affiliated with. And anything I get in my Facebook account, I send it over to APCUG's Facebook account. And I've been sending data privacy information over since, probably mid-December. And if you have liked that, you are getting that in your inbox. And sometimes the National Cybersecurity folks, they'll send 2 or 3 emails out every day. And they've always got something interesting. And if you have not had a Bob Gostica, Bob G. security presentation. He creates a new one every year. October is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And maybe in July, I'll send an email out to all the APCUG groups and say, hey, would you like to have him give you a presentation via Zoom? And I have him scheduled for 3 presentations on one day sometimes. Last year he made it to Brisbane, and the Brisbane group, and he was so excited because he always thought that Avast would send him to Australia, and I told him I got him there, and it was via Zoom. But and he's a volunteer just like we are. He is not paid by Avast to do this. They pay his expenses door to door. Of course, he has no expenses now because he's giving presentations via Zoom. But it's just, and it's a way to get some publicity for your group. It's National Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and we are having a presentation by IT security expert and Avast evangelist Bob G. Maybe your local newspaper will put that in because you're tying it in with something. And again, and I talk about security all the time and give presentations on it. And Bob G's always got new stuff. You think you know it all and you don't.
There's another kind of data security, well, I guess it's data that's come up, from all people using these Zoom and Zoom-like products. Dan and I have been using one called Whereby, which we really like, but it has a feature that you have to keep in mind. You can make a room that you can just leave open, and anybody that knows the URL can come in anytime. Well, that's fine unless you forget that you're in there. You put another screen up in front, you're working on your email or something, and you forget that your camera is on. And you just have to beware of what you're doing.
Make sure you're fully clothed. Let's see. Do I have
see you keep mentioning Equifax. Do you use Equifax, do you?
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that in 2017 they got breached, and the social security customer names, social security numbers, birth dates, and addresses affected more than half the US population? Yep. Got ripped off by them. So if someone's opening stuff in your name, they could have taken the data from Equifax.
But they had to pay for monitoring for anybody who asked for it for at least a year.
Oh well.
I know with my credit union, I get an email every single month that says my social security number is not out on the internet anyplace. Hey, I really like that.
Yeah. That's the thing with hackers nowadays. They got patience. They wait. It's the same thing as this hack that affected 18,000 companies. They sat there for a month, then they hacked the update software. So when all the government and other companies, Fortune 500 countries, downloaded the update, they could get into them, and then they didn't do anything. They just left it for months. Then they went fishing very carefully. It was only they tripped on the wrong person and it got flagged up that they knew there was in there. But they sit there for months, years, not doing anything, just looking. So they could take that data 3 years ago. They could be sort of like sifting through it now because your social security number is not going to change. You got that for life.
Well, I believe it's have I been pawned, PWND, yeah. And you can put your email address in there and see if it's any one of them has been compromised. And I do that every once in a while with mine, and it's the same 3 from several years ago. Yeah. And but if you have a password manager program and you have a password at your Yahoo email, and Yahoo gets hacked, Dashlane and 1Password will send you information and say, hey, you need to change your password right now. Yahoo's been hacked, or you know, whatever it is. I find that really good. You know, just an extra added thing for your password manager.
Yeah, it's knowing if there's anything being compromised, isn't it? You just can't see everything. You just
And one password is the only one that has never been compromised. And if you guys go back and forth across the border all the time, you might want to think about using that password manager program, because they've got some special stuff that they do that hides things when you go over, and when you get where you're going, it brings it back up. And I don't travel, so, you know, but it's for people. And I find that intriguing that they offer that, and it's relatively inexpensive per year. And again, they're the only ones that haven't been hacked.
Now about Equifax, if you don't use it, they still have your information though, right? So, I mean, not using it isn't going to help.
Oh, you don't really use it. All the banks or any company, they give that information to Equifax. They phone and they get the information. And the company that I'm not even sure, it was just a small company, got hacked. They gave me free 5 years of Equifax. And yeah.
Equifax and TransUnion et al., that's where all your credit information goes. If you are late on payments for various and sundry accounts, they keep track of that. Yeah. So when you try to open another credit account and you're denied because you don't pay your bills on time, that's because the credit reporting companies they're the ones that, you know, tell the person that you want to open a new account that it wouldn't be a good idea, so to speak. So they keep track of all that kind of stuff. But again, it's good to look at it and see. You can look at it online. You can get a PDF download. And because you'll see, hey, I didn't open that credit card. In my case, I didn't live in Florida. And you can dispute anything. It's not going to happen in a timely manner, but it doesn't hurt to say, hey, you know, blah, 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 blah.
One of my work friends in the UK, he noticed that his letterbox had been prized open one day, and he discovered that what someone was doing was opening credit cards at that address for a different name, and then going and intercepting them, trying to intercept them at the mailbox. So he could be John Doe at your address, brings out a credit card, uses it, and they come to your address to find Mr. John Doe to take the money.
Yep. These guys are pretty slick, as they call them bad actors now. We called them the bad guys. Well, now they're bad actors. They have a new name, so to speak.
Is that because you're in California?
Say again?
I said, is that because you're in California that they call them
that's
actors?
that's what they're called. They're called bad actors.
I know that. I'm just joking.
No, that is true. That is true. That they all live in Hollywood.
Yeah. Crooks are unfashionable as names anymore.
Yeah.
In Mexico, they're all bad hombres.
Well, you have to be woke now, don't you? So you call them actors, bad actors, you know.
You have to wonder who thought of that. Let's all call them bad actors. Okay, why not? But anyway, I have hijacked your meeting, and I kind of semi-apologize for that.
One of the comments that was made earlier was about the fact that you should use a credit card rather than bank card or debit card for making payments to suppliers. And actually that comment came out by the guy that was in the movie was about him in Catch Me If You Can.
Oh.
And he said that he trains his kids and everybody else to use credit cards. First of all, you build up a credit let's say value. And the other thing is that you get an opportunity to still stop the payment. Whereas, once it comes out of your bank account, it's pretty tough to try and get it back.
Well, the other thing is, when you use your debit card, you're using your money.
Correct.
When the credit card, you're using the bank's money on your behalf.
Not
So
for
it's
very
the
long.
money
If you miss a
you're using.
payment, they clip you at a very high rate. I call it mafia rates because they do clip you at a very high rate and they can get away with it.
No, just
in a Home Depot one, and you got 18 months, no interest, and yeah, as long as you pay it off before that 18 months is up. But like you said, yeah, I got a credit card with $500 limit on it, and that's what we use online. And if we're buying something online and it's, we need more money, we just call, get the credit rate, the limit raised, and then after I pay the bill off, we call and we get it reduced again.
Banks give bogus credit card numbers that you can use online that are attached to your regular card. But if it's stolen, and it can be a one-shot deal, it doesn't go anyplace. But yeah, you want to use your credit card because it's easier to get your money back by using a credit card than using a debit card, because that money's gone instantly.
Well, I thought that I had protected myself by getting a credit card from a bank where I do not have an account. But then I noticed that they changed the policy a few years after, so that I guess they can get into whatever bank account I have to recover money if there was such a theft of funds. I thought you were going to say something there, Peter, because there was a yellow band around your picture, but I'll add one more thing. Just occurred to me that, with the COVID vaccines coming out, there's another source of sloppy record keeping and data privacy, because they also have to have a record of you for the next 21 or 28 days for the second shot.
Well, it's like our medical records. Medical ID theft is just really high up on the list, but you have to think, it all used to be paper. You'd go into your doctor's office and here'd be all these file folders. And any bad guy could break in and just grab a whole bunch of file folders with everybody's name and leave. And we never thought anything about it. But now that it's electronic, even easier to get information about us.
Well, it's 1 million instead of 100. That's.
Yep.
Yep. The other thing now is the dodgy emails that come through to try and get you to click on them. Yeah, they're using your COVID-19 vaccination things come through. Please verify that you can come and click on this link or click on this. Yeah.
Well, these days I'm getting weird text message on my phone, and it's things that I don't even part of or anything, and they're like telling you things and click on the hyperlink that's in that text, and I'm like deleting it. I'm like, nope, I don't know you. My philosophy is that if no one is in my address book, they don't get answered or replied.
Good policy.
I've been getting ones that are about saying that your package is almost here and click here to see the tracking information.
Yeah, I have the same one. Yep.
The one thing you should do is, if you guys shop on Amazon or things like that, go in and see how many credit cards are in there. You might think, oh, well, I'm going to use a different credit card this time, and the expiration date goes away, but you don't think to go in and get rid of it. And they can, keep guessing at your expiration date, and, just have one card at each place. And I have a very security conscious youngest daughter, and she will not give anything but the last 4 numbers of her Social Security card. She doesn't care who it is or what they want. And she wins every single time. And she will not leave a credit card anyplace. she uses it and she either goes in and removes it or doesn't check the box that says, hi, you can keep this information for me. We call her Safety Stacy.
A good plan, definitely.
You guys have anything else you want to talk about?
Is
it time for us to go away?
Has anyone heard of Amazon Sidewalk?
No.
You haven't heard of Amazon Sidewalk? No?
Well, it was Google, I believe, that did the sidewalk project.
No, it's Amazon Sidewalk.
Oh, the extended Wi-Fi.
Yeah, from Amazon device to Amazon device. Your neighbour's ones.